Technical issues going on again, guys. How are you all doing? We're back here in the potting shed. Last minute thing, preparation just suddenly all go a bit wrong. Let me just get the camera a bit straighter. These live shows are really, really tricky to do, especially when you're meant to have everything set up and just go live. Never mind. We are live now and we've got it up and running. How are we all doing? We're coming here from the potting shed here in Littlehampton. Got lots of things to talk about. Been busy in the garden this weekend as always, but what have you guys been up to? Let me know in the comments. We'll have a quick look through the comments and see if anybody's out there at all. First off, we've got Philly SPB. Hello to you. Let me bring up the comments so everyone can see what I'm talking about. We've got Oracle, good day on the plot today. Excellent. From Philly SPB. We've got Adrian. Hello to you. Hope you are well. We've got Oracle Odds allotment. Always a good day on the Philly SPB. What about yourself? Excellent. Who else have we got? We got Turbo Stream. Hello to you. Good evening, veg growers from a sunny but dry and chilly Birmingham. Hargrave Vegas. Evening, glorious day in Hargrave, Suffolk. I've planted loads. That's a good thing because we're going to be talking about that a bit later on, funny enough. What else have we got? We've got Stuart Jackson, hello to you. And we've got Stuart Reynolds in the Facebook group. Just to, if anybody is watching in the Facebook group, I may not see, or I should see your comment, but I may not see who you are, and you may not see if I add any links. Stuart Jackson, is that a new t-shirt? Yes, it is. I got this on Friday. Well, I'll discuss that in a minute. Amanda Kirkland, hello to you. Ed Loud, hello to you. And Ian Beddoes, new red lights behind you. I've had them for a few weeks, but we're restructuring the studio soon, so these are going to come out, and it's not going to change dramatically, but it's just going to be a bit more efficient and what have you. And those red lights are going to be there as well. Ballycillian, potting on and seed sowing, busy time of year. Yeah, absolutely agree. Stuart Reynolds, loads of watering as it's dry as a bone on my plot from Stuart R. Yes, it is incredibly dry. In fact, I've had a comment earlier today from someone who was saying that it's so dry on their allotment that they've used up their rainwater butts and they're just praying for rain. I've read in the weather reports we're getting rain later on this week. Sticking with Stuart Jackson, I've pricked out about 250 seedlings this weekend and made about £180 for the brain tumour charity. Fantastic. Round of applause. £180. Fantastic. Not a lot happened on my plot this week. Hopefully this week planting things out. From Turbo Stream. My dad, good evening to you. Thank you for the card the other day. I meant to text you or ring you actually. So I think that is, we'll come back to the comments in just a moment. So what have I been up to? Well, it's been a case that I've been sowing lots of seeds as well. I've sown some French beans, some tromboncino courgettes, a squash. Let's get rid of that. Sown some coriander, sown some more nasturtiums, some Welsh onions and some tree spinach. And I've been pricking out a lot of tomato plants, asparagus pea, early jalapenos, habanero chilies, cucumbers, broccoli. Basically, there's a lot of stuff that we've been we've been doing, particularly with plants, in the sense that we're going to be planting them out, sowing them, and getting them ready to go. And it's all good fun. It's exactly what we need to be doing. Just have a swig of the little dry the throat, moisten the throat. What I really need, though, I really need a haircut. I've got to say that. I had a dip in the hot tub before I came on. It's made my hair just go all fuzzy before I went live. What else have I been doing? My greenhouse. I have now planted tomatoes into my greenhouse beds. I've got 3 tomato plants, and I've got those tomato halos, which I'm trying out slightly differently this year. Tomato halos, and I should really use them outside, to be honest, but I put them in the greenhouse, planted 3 tomatoes into those, and hopefully we'll get some good tomatoes. If you don't know what I mean by the tomato halos, what they are, they've got like a conical centre which you plant tomatoes in, and then they've got a ring around the outside where you pour water and it trickles in to get the water into the roots. So yeah, that's what I've plot in the greenhouse. I've been working on my wildflower / orchard / herb garden area. That's come together really nicely and is looking absolutely fantastic. Down on the allotment, lots of weeding. I've had to replant some broad beans because my broad beans have been swiped out. And what else have I been doing? Oh, my asparagus is starting to show. I reckon by the end of the week, we'll start harvesting some lovely asparagus. And my Phacelia, now I grew Phacelia as a green manure for the first time over this winter. And it's getting to that time when I know I'm going to start clearing it out. So I hoed away the Phacelia. And do you know what I had? Clean bed, no couch grass. The Phacelia has really worked at getting down on the couch grass. So that's something I'm going to be doing a lot more of in the future. Let me tell you that. Let's have a quick look at the comments and see what else everyone else has done before we get into the main subject today. So Ed Loud, for once, I actually did some real gardening. Good God. Well, I mowed the lawn, been away from home all month, helping my sick father who is watching with me. Hello to Ed Loud's father. Lovely to have a garden for a change. Absolutely. I couldn't be without my garden. Richard Golding has joined. Hello to you. Hope you are well. Digwell, he has sown 44 varieties of veg in this last week. Wow, 44 varieties. I've got to say, I think at the moment, it was certainly with sowing our seeds and pricking out, it's all go. It's all go. I was saying on the podcast at the moment, I don't feel we're quite ready to plant out any plants, but I think we're certainly getting there. And at the moment, it's all go with the sowing seeds and everything. Hence, I've got this entire shelf just dedicated to my seedlings, greenhouse full, polytunnel thing full, greenhouse on the allotment getting full. It's all go. It's all go. Nigel, Money Boots has joined. Good evening to you. Stuart Jackson, I have kale, Brussels sprouts. Can I put them under a fleece in the ground? Thanks. Yes, I'm going to say, right, we're going to bring up the main subject in just a second. But kale and Brussels sprout seedlings, yeah, I think as long as they're under a fleece, they should be okay. Just keep an eye on them. And what I would actually do is just put a few for a few days and just see how they get on before putting the rest out there. Any other comments that... Nigel has planted 24 containers of Charlotte potatoes today. 24 containers. I used to do all my potatoes in containers. Now I'm moving more to putting them into the ground purely because I find it's easier to keep them watered than it is to try and get them in. Or containers are harder to water. So I'm moving towards moving them into the ground, although I still do prefer growing them in containers because I think they're a lot easier. I know I'm slightly low. Let me just see if I can jack up the camera slightly without dropping it. No, not really made any difference, has it? So I have 2 cameras and the first camera decided not to work again. Despite me, I fixed my laptop. The troubles we had last week has been repaired, and now we're moving on with other problems. But don't worry. Talking of other problems, the phone line is open. If you want to call in, it is just down there on the bottom of the screen, the number 07307 135 174. Or if you want to zap yourself in, I'll add the link in the comments right now. Hopefully that's the right link. I'm pretty sure it is the right link. Obviously, if you're in the Facebook group, you may not see the link, but it'd be great to hear from you and hear a few phone calls from people. Let me just grab the lead in case I get a phone call coming, because I know that's set up for the other way around. Have I just knocked the camera lower? I have, haven't I? This is getting bad. What if I just stick something? No, that's not going to work. Right. I'll just move like this, shall I? That's better. You can see me. Right. So, apparently there's an error. Okay. Well, won't worry about that. So, what am I? The main discussion tonight is a comment or a question I had come in, which was from somebody in our Facebook group. And it was Stuart Reynolds, actually. That's right. Stuart Reynolds was asking, when do you know when your last frost date is? Now, for me, I know mine is normally the beginning of March, and I give it a couple of weeks before I plant my plants out. So usually the middle of May. And I've never been let down with that method. It is possible, I suppose, to get a frost later than that, but it's very, very rare. How did I work out that was a good time to plant out my plants, though? Or how did I know when the risk of frost is pretty much over with by then? Well, I want to say it's down to years and years of experience, and partly true. Truth is, when I was much younger, I just remember Alan Titchmarsh on the TV saying, well, you know, it's safe to put your plants out when Chelsea is on. And I think Chelsea back then was in the middle of May, and I've just stuck to that, and it's done well for me. Now, on Digware has actually come up with the other method that I was going to suggest. Go to Garden Focused, I think it's gardenfocused.co.uk, if I remember right. You enter your town and it'll tell you your last frost date. It's based on local weather and what have you. And if you use that, because gardenfocus.co.uk, it's a bit of a clunky website to use, but there's so much that such a useful website for working things out. This camera's doing my nutting. Such a good website for working things out that you've got. It's worth a look at, because it'll tell you when it's good to sow certain seeds and so on. And because you enter your address, it tailors everything for you. It's a fantastic resource. I'm not sure my vegplotter, vegplotter.com.co.uk, one of the two, the one that we use to plan our Christmas dinner bed, I believe that tailors as well to your own local environment as well. So that's another one that you could use. Alternatively, go to the Met Office, and I think they can also tell you when your last frost date is. So that's the methods that I use to work out my own frost date. I think I'm interested to see if anybody else has any other methods that they can share with us for working out their last frost date. I'm sure if you're further up north, I'm talking probably Scotland, it's much, much later in the time, a much shorter growing period up there. So, Ian Beddoes, what's Ian been up to? Sown the last of the peas and almost ready to plant out the first ones as they are getting big enough now. Yeah, I've sown some peas. I picked some peas today, actually. These were my overwinter peas that have been growing in my greenhouse. They're probably coming to the end of their life, but yeah, picked some peas. It's going to be a good one. I'm hoping to be really successful with peas this year. I know Ian Beddoes, his children absolutely, or his grandchildren, sorry, absolutely love the peas. So Stuart Reynolds in the Facebook group. Today was the first frost-free day, frost east day last week from Stuart Reynolds, this is. First day of frost-free. I mean, I thought when I got this question about when to work out your frost-free days, did strike me as amazing that 2 weeks ago we were having snow. And now look at the weather today. Beautiful, bright sunshine. Absolutely brilliant. It just goes to show just how much the weather changes. And I've always said, now, somebody mentioned this T-shirt earlier. It was my birthday on Friday, and this was a present that I got for my birthday. And my mum always told me it snowed on the day I was born. And that, for me, has always drummed home to me just how likely or how possible it is to get snow at the end of April. I believe we've had snow in June as well. So even then, it's not guaranteed. Sowing, planting, last frost, first frost, etc., etc. That's, I think Digwell was talking about garden focus there. Yeah, it tells you all the best times for sowing, planting. It's a really fantastic tool. I've got to find the people behind it and have a chat with them one day. Julia has joined. Hello to you. There is no sign that will account for the unexpected cold snap. Yeah, I think that's a valid point. As I said, we've had snow in June from what I've heard, and that's completely unexpected. It's based on averages or what we would expect over the years. I think Stuart Reynolds, I've just been looking at the BBC weather app and looking at night temps. What are the night temperatures looking like for the next week? I don't think they're looking great. I'm going to try and just is that any better? Slightly better, isn't it? It'll probably drop again. Now, Nigel has came up as always. There's always one lowering the tone. How about the bare cheek method? Now, actually, this does bring me up to something that I received once. It was a gardener's diary, and I used it every day to write down what I did on that particular day, a bit like the podcast diary. But I remember reading one of the tips in that was how to tell when it is right to plant your parsnips, and that was the old boy's tale of, it's the soil's warm enough when you can sit butt naked on the soil without it catching a cold. So that's what Nigel is on about there, and that's for sowing parsnips. Now, personally, I couldn't do that, but I think it is an old boy's method. Oracles, I think you have went through them all. Oh yeah, I probably have been through all the ways, to be honest. Let's have a look. There we go. 40 years ago on this day in 1981, we were 2 feet under snow. Well, there you go, 40 years ago. And that was the year before I was born. So, wow, 2 feet under snow. Is that where you are, Digwell? I mean, I know where I am. It's very, very rare to get snow. But even so, in other places, it is quite likely or quite possible. It was happy birthday to you, Nui, as well for Tuesday. 4 degrees in Belfast at night for this next week. Ouch. 3-4 degrees overnight. Mind you, that's not too bad. 3-4 degrees. At least it's not down at 0. And Stuart Reynolds is saying that in mid-Kent, where he is, highs of 8 and lows of 4 degrees at night for the week. Now, that is air temperature, not so much soil temperature. So, like in my greenhouse, I've got a big water butt full of water, and that acts as like what I call a heat battery. So it stores some of the heat during the day, and that helps keep it just slightly warmer throughout the night. It does lose some of the heat, but it does really help keep it a bit warmer. Oh, excuse me. Digwell is in Gloucestershire. So 40 years ago in Gloucestershire, 2 feet of snow. I want to say it's hard to believe, and I think it is probably hard to believe, but I think since then we have been spoiled, especially the last couple of years, with some good weather throughout the spring. Not quite warm enough, but certainly some good sunny weather throughout spring. Oh, that's better. Right, let's get rid of that. So I'm hoping that answers everyone's, or the question that I received about this, about when is a good way to work out how to or your last frost dates. I think, as somebody said, I've been through all the options. Gardenfocus.co.uk or .com, one of the two, is probably, for me, the best way, I think, or certainly one of the most reliable and really good ways of finding these things out, but also BBC, Met Office, and Experience. Now, Stuart Reynolds, I'm assuming this is Stuart Reynolds. My seedlings are getting leggy. This was the next question I had coming in, and I thought we'll chat about that today. My seedlings are getting leggy. How can I stop this? So what I want to know about this, Stuart, is whereabouts are your seedlings at the moment? They are getting leggy. Are they indoors? Are they under grow lights? Are they in a cold frame? Are they in a greenhouse? Let's know in the comments so we can figure out a way to try and help you a bit better. Valley Cillian, as Steve Greenside says, as Greenside up, take a chance, but have plenty of backup plants ready inside in case frost hits. Yeah. You often hear me talk about, especially on the podcast, what I call my sacrificial plants. And in fact, today I've moved some tomatoes out to my cold frame as my sacrificial plants. And what they are, they're just not every single plant. There might be just one or two of those particular variety, that particular type of plants that they just move out as a sacrificial. And what I mean is they go out there. If they survive, all well and good. If they die, I know I've got to wait a bit longer and I haven't lost everything that I have. That being said, I certainly would not be looking to plant any of my tender plants. That's my tomatoes, my chilies, my cucumbers, courgettes, squash, pumpkins. They will not go outside at all until middle of May. I can tell you that now. Definitely not until the middle of May. They'll be fine in a greenhouse. Hopefully they'll be okay in a cold frame. Pretty sure they will. Outside, absolutely not. 3 to 4 degrees all next week, overnight, all next week in West Midlands. So just above zero, just above freezing. And it could do with being a bit warmer, of course. I'm sure we would all love it to be a bit warmer. That being said, now I don't have a heater in my greenhouse, but what I've noticed up until about 2 weeks ago, my tomatoes were growing very, very slowly. Wasn't worried. And then in the last couple of weeks, they have shot on in growth. And I put that down to the fact that it's warmed up now, and that warmth has really stirred them up and got them growing. Digwell likes my idea of the heat sink in the greenhouse. A similar thing is used in houses in the Middle East. Yeah, the main reason I actually do it is so that water is already warmed up to the temperature of the greenhouse when it comes to watering. But it's also acts as, like I say, a heat sink or a heat battery. Soaks up heat during the day, releases it at night. It takes up a little bit of room, so you lose some room in the greenhouse, but I don't mind that too much. So Stuart is saying his ceilings are in an unheated kitchen. So that's what I want to. That's a good start. An unheated kitchen. So they're probably warm enough, and what you're probably finding is they're actually getting too warm and not enough light. Which direction do your windows on your kitchen face? This is to the question about leggy seedlings. Now, I'm not allowed to put any seedlings on my kitchen windowsill. The wife decrees it. I've got my house plants, or what I call my house plants: my ginger, my turmeric, my cardamom, my orange tree, my lemon tree. They are on the kitchen window sills, but my kitchen faces east, so it doesn't only really get good sunlight for part of the day. And then if it's slightly shady, like most of the rest of the day, any plants and seedlings are not going to be getting enough light. So in Stuart's case, what it sounds like, they're warm enough, they're clearly warm enough, but they're trying to stretch themselves to reach the light. Now, what you could do, oh no, I take that back. He's saying that they are facing south. So that should, in theory, be okay. But I suspect what they're doing is they're stretching for the light. They're trying to reach out and get as much light as they can, and they're just the bit on the warm side. So what I would recommend, quickly, just rotate them on a daily basis, turn them around so they get equal light on every side of the plant on a daily basis. What you could also do is put like a white screen behind the plant to reflect some of that light back, and that should help get or deal with them or stop them getting leggy. Or you could do like I've got with my grow lights. Now they are great because they focus the light onto the plants and they really do stop them getting leggy. And I find the closer the lights are, the better they do. You get much more stockier plants, I find, with these grow lights, which builds them up rather well. Yes. So he has said, but it is quite dark. I have been taking them out in a day. So that is what I thought. It's maybe in shade, it may be south facing, but it's in the shade. And particularly plants like tomatoes, they need a lot of light. Tomatoes, chilies need a lot of light. And Nigel, put a reflective card behind them covered in silver foil. Yeah, a bit of wood painted white will do, but even better, a mirror silver foil behind them to reflect some of that light in, and behind them will help. But what it sounds to me is that there's a lack of light actually coming in. So you might, in my theory, you might have started your plants just slightly too early, and they're off to a good start, but they will be okay. Personally, I find that even if I get plants that are too leggy, when they go outside, they seem to do okay. They struggle for a bit, but they do seem to do okay. You could plant, when it comes to planting or pricking them out, you can plant them up to the seed leaves if you've still got your seed leaves, which if I show you on these ones, a good example. What are these? These are the cucumbers. These are what I call the seed leaves. So they look, to me, I always think they look like the actual seed themselves, the outer of the seeds. So we could plant right up to those seeds, and it'll grow roots on those. After those, what we would end up getting is the proper seeds, the true leaves, which are what we really want. Let's have a quick look and see if anybody else has got anything to add to the comments. Ernie Smet is saying it's a good Sunday evening to you, Richard. I trust you are well. Very well, thank you. Hello to you. Andrew Norris, hello to you. Stuart Reynolds, the old boys are losing seedlings in their greenhouses on my allotment. It has been pretty cold. And for me, and I've always said this, a greenhouse is not designed to be very efficient. I've always thought, and I had this with some of you may remember my shed that I took down during the winter, the old potting shed. It had windows on the front, but the rear was on the north side was corrugated iron. Again, that acted as a heat sink, in my opinion. And do you really need windows on the north side? That's a slight thing I've noticed with greenhouses. They're not designed to be very efficient. And when it gets cold, especially on an allotment where it's open, so it doesn't hold heat in, it creates a microclimate. It does struggle more. What else have we got? Hargrave Vegas. I forgot to bring in 2 pepper plants last night. It got down to +3, but amazingly they survived. Well, I've found with pepper plants, they're hardier than we give them credit for. Now, of course, when it comes to planting them out, yes, we want to wait until risk of frost has passed. But I've grown peppers and chilies outside all year round on a patio, and they've grown over winter. And they came back the next year. I've not done anything different. I've just left them. I have a tendency, if a plant's not dead, I'll leave it until it dies. And so this was a complete accident. But I have found on a warm patio, they can survive right throughout the winter. What else have we got? So Turbo Stream, I second the use of grow lights. I don't have a greenhouse, so the lights have been great this year. Absolutely. I mean, my grow lights came from IKEA, and I think they are worth every penny. I do want to get more, but I was also been looking at a shelf system where the lights are higher and lower as well. At £600, it's a lot of money, but I do like the idea of it and what have you. But again, these grow lights, excuse me, grow lights have been fantastic. And I mean, the bulbs, these ones here, hopefully you can see it. Let me go to that one. I think they were about £10 from there, and they just fit into an ordinary light fitting, which is what I like about them. Providing you've got a lamp holder. Got to be careful with water, of course, but provided you've got a lamp holder, they will fit in that quite nicely. Some of the other ones I've got are a bit more T5 style, but they're, again, worth it. So this question is coming from Stuart Reynolds about leggy seeds. You could also angle this seed tray at the windowsill. Yeah. Try and angle it so it gets more light. That could work. Stuart, I found this year very cold and behind. It has been rather cold up until recently, but it's been dry as well, although we had a wet winter. That's why I think this summer we're going to have a wet winter. That's my prediction. I've said this before, and if I'm wrong, I will have to come up with some forfeit. And if we have a dry summer, I'll eat my hat, as they say. Suggest a forfeit that I'll have to do in the comments if I'm wrong. But I reckon we're going to have a wet winter. Sometimes I think we start growing seeds too soon without grow lights. So not enough natural daylight available, sun too low in the sky. This is from Ballysillian, and he is right. I'm particularly bad at starting seeds off too early. That's why I've got so many tomatoes, peppers, chilies going early. But things like chilies and peppers do like a long growing season. Excuse me. And I get better results by starting them off early and getting them going. My other reason that I tend to start things off early is so that I'm a bit more prepared when the spring comes round. So that at the moment, the winter with work, early spring is pretty quiet at work, but come mid-April, May, we get busier and busier at work. So what I like to do is try and spread my workload out so I don't have to work or don't feel like I'm catching up in the evenings to try and do everything in weekends. I've got the tomatoes already ready to go. I've got the chilies. I've got the peppers. For me, that might be just me that does that, but I do find it works better for me to start them off early so I am prepared. My pepper plants only have the seed leaves on, so still in the seed tray. Yeah, some of my later sowings of pepper plants only have the seed leaves on as well. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Once the weather really warms up, and especially those night temperatures that we've been talking about, I suspect they will suddenly start growing and producing a lot more in the way of proper true leaves once that weather warms up. Which is why when people grow their plants indoors on the kitchen, I think they do better um, for that very reason. They're warmer. Stuart Jackson says, turn the plants every day to help stop them going leggy. Great advice. Turbo Stream. I follow a website called Weather Without Technology. He predicts a wet summer for this year. There you go. I'm not the only one that's predicting a wet summer. I'm going to look stupid if it doesn't happen, though. My father years ago used 8 tube lights as grow lights. Yeah, I have tried grow lights before. Sorry, normal kitchen tube lights. But what I found as another cheap way of doing this, if you go to a aquatic store and get the bulbs that they use in tropical fish tanks or marine fish tanks, they actually pot out a better frequency of light than your standard kitchen grow lights. Now, not to get too scientific, but there's certain frequencies in the lights that the plants feel they need that some lights don't emit, which is why you get different, or why things look different in different lights. But yeah, definitely you can get grow lights as tube lights, but I found that the aquatic ones were the best one because they really emit a really good solid light that the plants just love. I put them in, and what I did actually, this is going back many years ago, I had an old bar fridge, and I took the bulb out of that and put in a fish aquatic light, and this was what I got from my job. You probably know if you've looked at behind a bar, a pub bar, those fridges, they've got white silver all the way around them, which it reflects a lot of light to make the products in there look really good. It worked brilliantly as a grow tent. Really, really, if you're into upcycling, that's the way to do it. Just make sure there's no refrigerant in the system first, and don't cut the pipes to do that, and get a professional in. But yeah, because it was a fridge, it reflected all that light, and it contained some of that heat, or it kept some of that heat within it as well, which helped the plants grow really, really well. And in some ways, if I got the fan running as well, that would have heated it up. Thinking about it, they have a fan in them. That would have also got the air flowing around it as well. So there's a little upcycling project if anyone is interested to try again. I'll have to, when I clear my garage one day, that might be something I'll have to try and build again. He uses the old sayings and saws from history, e.g., ash before oak, we're in for a soak. Oh, this is the website Weather Without Technology. So yeah, I suspect neighbour might have suspected we were growing something naughty. Yeah, that's the downside of all these grow lights and all these heat to start the plants. In fact, when I had the grow lights in my old potting shed, which had the semi-greenhouse type thing, one of my neighbours did ask what I was growing in there. And yeah, I can see why people get suspicious of it, because it is known for growing cannabis and stuff. But hey, you know what? It is. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've noticed that a lot of the stuff that the cannabis growers would use to grow their stuff illegally. Now, I'm not condoning that, but the technology that they had, even the hydroponics, now it's coming into the grow your own field. They've done the work for us, and we're benefiting from that. And we're using the stuff that they can do. In fact, I believe if you go to a police auction, you can buy the old grow tents, the old grow lights pretty cheap from there. if you just know where they are when they've been confiscated. I've not done it myself, but something to think about, isn't it? Turbo String. My grow lights are LED strips. The light is white and red mixed together. Yeah, I personally, because there's a purple light as well, which I'm not a fan of. I've got to admit, I don't like the purple light, but it is a mix of the UV, which purple, blue, and the infrared spectrums, either end of the spectrum that a plant needs, and that's what they're more likely to get from the sun. Evening all, so late for the party. That's somebody in the Facebook group. Unfortunately, I can't see who you are because of how Facebook works. So just drop us a name if that is you. And you may not see, I'm about to put up the link if anybody wants to zap themselves in and have a chat on the screen. That won't go in the Facebook group either, but if you're on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, you will see the link. Alternatively, don't forget you can call in on 07307 135 174. Just check the phone is actually on. Yes, it is. Durka, I get free potting soil from legal pot growers. There you go. And that's in Canada, so potting soil from there. There you go. It just shows it does work. Oh, it's Kelly in the Facebook group. Hello, Kelly. Hope you are well. And Turbo Stream says that his grow lights, LED strip lights, seem to work well. Now, I do have some pictures. Let's see if I can get them up. Can you? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. So bear with me while I try and change things around. And what are we looking for? This is going really bad. A directory. This is my fault. I had technical issues before we started. There we go. There we go. That's not quite right, but we'll bring that up. So this picture is coming from Philly via Instagram. Now, he does say he's not the only one responsible for this, that Linda has to take a lot of the credit, otherwise he won't get any dinner. So there we go. This is also another one from Philly, which I love what you're using. I know you can't see my mouse. Using the red and white tape to the side there to scare off the birds. Such a simple but effective way. This is his polytunnel. We had a question come up about polytunnels in just a minute. I'll float out there. I'm sure everyone's greenhouses and polytunnel are looking like this, just full up to the top of, well, basically everything going on. Basically, a lot of plants, a lot of seedlings, all just bursting to get out. What else? Now, this comes from Durka, all the way in Canada. As you can see, you're getting all ready for the growing season. It looks lovely and clear, doesn't it? And I love this. It's Durka again in Canada, planting out her pak choi. But I love what she's used for space in here to that trellis. Such a simple idea again. I'm always amazed at the ingenuity that everyone uses. Also, Durka, beautiful. These look like probably cabbages or something. Or are they the pak choi? Oh, they must be the pak choi that's planted out using the trellis. Love that idea. Just love that idea. And there we go. We've got some radish that has been harvested also from Durka. Looks absolutely beautiful. Yeah, we're back to the beginning. Bring this camera back up. So there we go. Lots going on. I love the ingenuity that people are showing to make their lives easier that goes on in this whole grow your own situation. Love it. It's one of the things I absolutely love about grow your own. Now, there was a question earlier, I didn't get to it at the time, about what is better, a polytunnel or a greenhouse. So I think I've spoken about this before. I personally have not had much luck with polytunnels. So I much prefer greenhouses. And the reason I've not had much luck with polytunnels is that I find they get blown away a lot and destroyed far too easily. Truth be known, it's been the ones at the cheaper end of the market, not the really decent ones. So if I was going to buy a polytunnel now, I'd probably spend at least £350 on one and get a really decent one. Nice thick poles, sunk in the ground, cement everywhere. Basically, you get a good one. Greenhouses, however, I've got a greenhouse at home that I bought shortly after I moved into this house, which is nearly 6 years ago now. And it's been fine. I've not had to do any work to it. It's a plastic one, well, metal frame with plastic transparent windows. Then my granddad's greenhouse that I've inherited, which is down on the allotment, well, that is older than me. That is a very, very old greenhouse, and it's still going strong. I put that up a couple of years ago. First winter, the first really big bad storm, we did lose a lot of glass. Glass was probably already brittle, to be honest. But then since then, again, we've not lost the frames. We've replaced the glass panels. Glass does smash, but we've not had any problems. So for me, I personally feel I fall onto the greenhouse side. I think greenhouses are much, much better than polytunnels. But that's just my opinion. What does everyone else think? What is their preferred thing, polytunnels or greenhouses? Ed Loud is really enjoying the show tonight. Always learn something new. Ed, that reminds me, I sent you a second load of seeds. Did you ever get them? I've been meaning to ask you. Graham Arnold, hello to you. Put some brassicas out last weekend. 1 or 2 leaves have gone a bit pale. Any advice to perk them up? A bit pale. I put some brassicas out either last week or the week before, and they've gone a bit dry because the soil is so dry. So I'm making sure I'm giving them a bit of a water every day now. So certainly feel that, just not a heavy flood of water, but just enough that it gets into the soil and gives the roots plenty to drink and forces them to go lower. Apart from that, we have had some really cold weather a couple of weeks ago, and that may have slowed things down and caused problems. But keep the fleece handy and throw that over it. But generally now, I don't know where you are, Graham, in the country. That probably would be. But I think another thing you could do is add some chicken manure pellets, actually. Bit of chicken manure, and throw over some fleece. Again, Nigel is thinking it may be the cold weather as well. Again, down here, the brassicas are doing okay outside, not affected by the cold weather, but certainly, depending where you are, I also, my first thought was the cold weather as well. In fact, Kelly's came up with that as well, cold weather, and Graham's in East. Yeah, East. Yeah, because you lose a lot of temperature on. Yeah, I think you need get a fleece over it, add some chicken manure pellets, keep them well watered, and throw some fleece over the top, and I think you'll be okay. Ed Loud, £350. My goodness, I nearly had a heart attack. I don't know about a polytunnel. I'd expect shares in Eurotunnel for that. But that's the thing. Those polytunnels are about £100. They're the ones I've bought in the past, and my experience with those have been really bad. I think I'll be honest, I was too tight. I did not spend the money that I thought. £350 sounds a lot, but it's not really in the grand scheme of things. And I do say always be frugal, never be tight. Or never be cheap, sorry. And that's what I did. I spent, the minimum, the ones they sell in Wilkinson's. Then I put it on a windy allotment site and expected it to last. It didn't. I got my greenhouse. I paid £70, but I used club card vouchers on top of that. I think it would have been about £200. And it's lasted that time as well. So yeah, it sounds a lot of money, but there you go. I wouldn't be without a greenhouse at home, but at school, polytunnel are best. I can see why. Now, here's the thing: when we got our greenhouse at home, the reason I elected for the plastic windows was we thought we were going to have kids a bit later on. Well, that gone out the window. So that's why I went for plastic, because I didn't want the kids or even my nieces when they come round, I didn't want them smashing the glass and hurt themselves. So that's why I went for plastic. So on a school, I can see why you've gone for polytunnel as well. Ballycillian, cost for me, couldn't afford a greenhouse the size of a polytunnel. There's the advantage of a polytunnel. You get a bigger polytunnel for less money. There, right. So, Ballycillian, my polytunnel works better last 2 years since I brought a solar fan to circulate the air. Yes, I did that with my polytunnel when I tried getting that going. I mean, this is going back many years ago. I got a solar powered fan in there to circulate the air, and that I thought was going to be great. Graham is saying cheers to Nigel. I think we helped him. I think we all said it was a bit too cold. Nigel, I have 2 greenhouses, but think polytunnels warm up quicker and diffuse sunlight, so less chance of scorching. Actually, that reminds me of saying, just outside here, because I'm trying to make as much space, I've got go completely against what I've said. I got one of those 4-tier grow houses, again, made out of that plastic. It was like 15 quid. It was just something I could get cheap because I'm going to build a lean-to greenhouse out there over the winter. So I wanted something cheap. But I'm finding that, the clear plastic, I'm finding that is scorching plants. So really not great. Not great at all. Turbo Stream. I planted my brassicas out last week. They were hardened off though. I put chicken pellets in the hole and dust with fish blood and bone and then fill in the hole. Absolutely. I use chicken pellets all the time, and I use blood, fish, and bone quite a bit. A lot of things like that are just so useful in the garden. Adrian, is it true that used glass is harder to cut than new glass? Don't know. I've not really tried cutting old glass, to be honest, but I do find the older glass. I mean, the glass on my granddad's greenhouse, obviously that glass was nearly 40 years old. It did go brittle. And if I was trying to cut that, it probably would snap or be too brittle to cut. So there possibly is some truth in that, believe it or not. Turbo Stream would like a greenhouse over a polytunnel. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Idaho Greenhouse has joined. Hello to you. Idaho Greenhouse. Idaho Garden Girl has joined. Hello to you. Polytunnel uses diffused plastic. Yeah, I mean, this grow house, it is not a diffused plastic. It's like a thick, almost like cling film. It's horrible. Kind of regretting buying it, especially with what I've just said about be frugal, not be cheap. I'll a temporary thing, but I will sort that out. Graham Arnold, I've planted 20 asparagus crowns out yesterday, watered them in. How often would you water them while it's so dry? Well, my advice would be to try and water them daily. Now, what I found with asparagus, I've planted mine now, if I'm going to do asparagus, I plant them in the autumn so that they absorb all the water throughout the winter and you don't need to water them so much. At the moment, we are incredibly dry at the moment, so that's why I'm saying that you need to water them daily. Asparagus does come from the seaside, so it is used to some pretty a lot of moisture in the ground. So again, I think it needs that as well. So I would say daily for the first couple of weeks at least, until they are really established, and then you can look at perhaps knocking it down after that. What does anybody else think on that? Well, we've got about 5 minutes left to go of the show tonight. It's great because we get lots of questions coming in and lots of interaction, and this is what I want. I want questions coming in and people answering the questions with us. So please do go ahead. Yeah, Nigel is sort of saying, yeah, he finds the old glass because of brittle. That's what I thought. That's what I thought with old glass. It's certainly very brittle. And correct, Nigel, I have no bother. I think that's talking about the polytunnel using diffused plastic. So, yeah, definitely for me, I keep see every time we discuss polytunnels and greenhouses, I start thinking that perhaps I should give myself a polytunnel again and try again. But like I said, I would only spend about £350 at a minimum based on what I've seen. And I say that because my neighbour next to me has got a huge polytunnel. I think he spent about 350, but the poles are like that. It's like scaffold piping to hold it together. And I swear that's why it has lasted at least 2 years. Whereas those ones that are like tent poles, like I say, I don't want to speak badly about Wilkinson's, but they go together like tent poles. They don't last. They really do not last unless you're incredibly sheltered. So Nigel is saying for Graham Arnold, plant crowns on a mound with well-rotted manure at the bottom of a trench, water a few times per week, but remove weeds as soon as they appear. Yeah, I think he's already planted them, but yeah, when I planted my asparagus a few years ago now, in fact, it was about 6 years ago, we just started to get our first asparagus. Can't wait to start eating it. The mistake I made is I didn't clear the weeds out beforehand. I was in too much of a rush. And that's what I should have done. Cleared the weeds out, make the mound, as Nigel says, lots of well-rotted manure, lots of compost, make the mound, pot the plants on the mound, cover it over, keep them well watered. Again, that's why I like the planted them in the autumn, because the chances are it's going to rain more regularly then, and it's not going to be so dry, and it worked better for me. A lot of things you'll find that if I'm planting trees, or especially bare root trees, plant them in the autumn. So much easier, unless you have a lot of time in your hands or can set up some sort of system to water them regularly. Adrian's asking, are we going to have a 2-hour program soon? Possibly. I tell you what, we'll go a bit longer tonight. I'm feeling a bit pumped. The conversation is rolling in. I do, we might extend the time that we run these shows for. It all depends on how well the content goes. I haven't got work tomorrow, so I can push it a bit later tonight. Normally, I like to finish this so I can go have my dinner before let's do this now, but go get ready for work, have a wash, etc., and chill out for the evening, which is why I normally finish at 7. But we'll go a bit longer tonight. We'll keep it running. So if anybody does want to zap themselves in or call in, you are more than welcome to. I've added the link to zap yourself in. If anybody's clicked on it and it's not working, let me check I've got the right one. Yeah, it is the right one. Yeah, so it is the right link. Or if you want to call in, 07307 135 174. Hopefully I'm not going to keep everyone from their partners or anything tonight. I don't know how much longer we'll go on for. We're not going to go till... We won't go to 8. I'll put it like that. Turbo Stream. The garden focused website is excellent. Thanks for pointing me to it. I have found the planting calendar. There we go. This is a great thing I love about this interaction. Somebody asks a question, somebody else has suggested a website that somebody else has gone and found, and it is, garden focused. It's a bit of a clunky website, in my opinion. Could do with a bit of freshening up. and making it more user friendly. But it is an excellent website and really does tell us a lot of uses. A great way of growing stuff. Graham has said, I did plant them on a ridge with manure on the bottom. There we go. And Ballycillian, just to add to Nigel's comment, weed by hand so not to damage the roots and crown. Yeah, definitely weed by hand when it comes to asparagus. Although I do have, and I don't think I've got it in here, a hoe, which is it's just a little circular hoe, and it's got a blade on the inside. And I found that to be really good on an asparagus bed, because as long as you're gentle, you might knock a root crown, but you're not going to cut it off. I have to dig that out. Remind me for next week, and I'll dig it out and show you all that, because I thought they were brilliant. I've got a couple of them somewhere. Turbo Stream, I intend to film my plot soon. Not much to show yet, though. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately as well. I'm thinking of doing a sort of tour of the Modern Victory Garden, the plot at home. But at the moment, it's just not much going on in the actual ground. It's all the seedlings and stuff that I'm just waiting to get out. Ed Loud is enjoying the show, won't get any complaints from me. I hope your dad's enjoying it as well as he is watching. Idaho Garden Girl celebrating. We got 1/3 of an inch of rain. I planted out lettuce and bunching onions last week and also sowed British wonder peas outside. I'll be planting out more lettuce, spinach and onion seedlings today. I can't believe that after the winter we've had this year, we had a very wet winter here over this here in the UK. I lost my words there, sorry. And I can't believe now that there are people praying and wishing for rain. But when I looked on the weather app, it did say it's coming towards the middle of this week and next weekend. Stuart Jackson has a question. Is it too late to sow melons? No, it's not. It's not too late at all. You should have had melons, because I know Stuart Jackson's a member of my Seed Supporters Club, my supporters club, I should call it. Melons were in this month's, in April's gift pack. So, yeah, you can sow those. You can sow them into May. They do like a long growing season, I find, but I don't think it's too late at all. Anyone else think it's too late? Let us know in the comments. How soon would you pot tomatoes in the polytunnel? It's not heated. They're in my house at the moment. Right, good. I've popped my tomatoes in my greenhouse this weekend. So keep an eye on the temperature. What I would personally do, take one of those plants, just put it in the greenhouse. Don't plant it, just put it in the polytunnel and just see how it does. Keep an eye on it for a few days. If it dies, you've just lost one plant. But if it survives, you're okay. Again, that's how I do everything. It's sacrificial. See how it does. If it survives, great. Off you go. If it dies, it's too early. On that talk of rain, we are going to get 5 millimeters of rain this week if we are lucky. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be showers, but the thing is, a light shower on a shed. This shed's roof is, well, the shed is 8 foot by 8 foot, so it collects a lot of rainwater when it rains, and even the house roof. In fact, when we moved into this house end of May, if I remember right, and one of the first things I did was set up the water butt to catch some rain, and we had a shower, and that water butt was full from the rain caught on the roof of the house. So it doesn't need a huge amount of rain to fill up our water butts, but to give the ground a good soaking, we need at least, I don't know, a good inch of rain, or 2.5 centimeters, in my opinion, anyway. Ballycillian, first weekend in June for me, Belfast. I think I was talking about potting tomatoes in the polytunnel. I would have thought you in a polytunnel or greenhouse, you could do it a bit before June, but I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. You know your garden better than I do. Idaho, we are always praying for rain. We only get about 15 inch per year. Jesus, that's not much at all. And most of that is January to March in the form of snow. Garden water depends on snowpack. Domestic water is from a well. Completely did not see. Again, it's fascinating how we have to adapt as gardeners wherever we are in the world. Somewhere like Idaho gets very, very little rain. I mean, you must rely a hell of a lot on catching rainwater in water butts and things to make the most of it. Actually, Idaho Garden Girl, something you might be able to help me with then. I'm going to throw out this question. Every year I've been trying to grow, what's it called? We use it in gumbo. Crimson, what's it called? I can't think what it's called, but it's a key ingredient in gumbo. And I never seem to be able to get any gumbo from it. What's going on? I've been told that they don't like being transplanted. Okra, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, okra. That is exactly the word I was looking for. I hate it. I hate it when I can't remember the name. Yeah, I've tried to grow okra for many years, and I've always struggled with getting anything from it. What would you recommend with okra? I have to irrigate plants. If I don't irrigate, they don't live. Yeah. I listened to a podcast from a guy in Texas, and he got a 3-acre farm, I think, and he sort of said on that, because it doesn't rain, he has to set up irrigation before he even considers planting anything. The irrigation has to go in first. And it's all done automatically on pumps and things there. My clay ground is actually quite moist a few inches down, but the surface is bone dry now. That's what I find. Yeah, I mean, I've not dug down to see if it's... Well, I have actually when planting. It is cool and moist a bit down, but obviously the surface, I mean, our clay soil has just got cracks in it, and the cracks are getting big enough that I can stick my fingers in between the cracks because of this heat. We just need a good lot of rain. Idaho, they are okay with being this is about the okra. They are okay with being transplanted, but they love heat. Okay, that is what I thought. They love heat, so perhaps I have to leave them in the greenhouse and try them again. I might actually, I haven't got any okra seeds, but I'm going to get some okra seeds and try that again. So thank you. So basically, to grow good okra, lots and lots of heat. And Idaho must have irrigation. I have a pump and a timer. Yeah, I mean, I always find setting up a pump and a timer certainly helps me out a lot here. But I run it off the water butts anyway. Oh, just hurt my neck doing that. But I run it off the water butts anyway. But that's purely because during the week, it's kind of summer, we're getting into that time of year where I can be incredibly busy, and it's not unheard of for me to get home at like 10 o'clock at night. To go out and water and then is the last thing I want to do. What I really want to do is eat something, have a wash, and go to bed at that time. That's why I tend to like stuff that does better, although I'm trying not to work so late this year. Well, our last frost is usually the third week in May, so give it another week to be sure. Polytunnel will warm up during the day, but doesn't hold it at night, especially if there's condensation on the cover. Well, there you go. There we go. Okay, that's what I mean. You don't know your garden, so that's really fascinating. I asked a question about okra. There you go. I have 3 okra plants started, so fingers crossed. Hayley, please do share with us how you get on with them, because I'd love to know. I've been trying for years to grow okra, and I always fail. And I love gumbo, absolutely love gumbo. We have it, we cook it quite often. It's so tasty. Right. Yeah, throat's getting a bit sore, so that's the trouble. If I've got to talk for 2 hours like we've suggested, I'm going to have to train my voice a bit better than what I would probably have to warm it up, would I? So there we go. That's really interesting. So we've learned something about how to grow okra. We've learned a lot. We have learned a lot. I feel the conversation has been good tonight, man, and we're going places. I meant to say last week, this week, I've had photos sent to me to create conversation. If anybody wants to send any photos to me, please do. My email address is richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk, or you can post them in our Facebook group, which is probably the easiest way, to be honest, and people chat on that. Or you can, as Philly did, direct message me on Instagram or Twitter and send the photos that way. Excuse me, sorry, I shouldn't drink such a big gulp of that water. What else was going to say? But if anybody has any videos as well, please do send me some videos. It could be a tour of your allotment, could be you want help with a particular plant or anything like that. Slightly harder to send a video to me. I don't have to be edited, don't have to be anything special, just something to get the conversation flowing, because there's a lot of conversation that I feel we need, or we haven't tapped into, and it's going to be a way of opening up. If you want to send a video to me, head to wetransfer.com. What you have to do is you upload your video to wetransfer.com, you enter your email address, you enter my email address, richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. It sends me an email and I can download it straight off their website. It's easy, it's free, provided it's under 1 gigabyte, and I doubt very much you would have anything over 1 gigabyte, but it's so easy, it's free, and it can just help create conversation going on like this. A lot of the questions and things that come in are based on what I'm being asked and what I'm seeing with people. Stuart Jackson's great show this week. Lots of information for newbies like me. And Ballycillian is saying, really enjoyed the chat tonight. So much information. Exactly. This is what it's all about, getting that information shared and having a conversation. I like to think of it like we're sat down the allotment, sat around the table having a chat with a cup of coffee and stuff. That's the way I like to think of it anyway, and that's the way I want it to be. Right, I'm going to start wrapping up. We'll go for a few more minutes, but if anybody has any thoughts, suggestions, ideas, or anything, then put it into the comments. Any more questions to go on the podcast this week? Actually, I've got an interesting conversation that I had with a director from a garden centre, and her name's Hannah, and obviously I tied it in. The Veg Grower podcast is about growing veg, so I've tied it in a bit about finding out about what's going on in garden centres, because I've heard just to quickly answer that, yes, that's my richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. So no, that is not correct. It's just forgot the co.uk. What was I saying? Yeah, got Hannah on the podcast this week, and I found out, because I've heard through the news that there's a shortage of plants in our garden centres at the moment due to a variety of reasons, and I've been finding out just how serious it is, to the point that greenhouses apparently have got like a 10 to 12 week waiting list. So I found out a bit about that, but she's also gone on. She had some difficulties in her life that led to, what was it called? Functional neurological disorder, or something along those lines. And she used, I was hoping it was going to be, she used gardening, and it was a tool she used. She did use gardening to go out and help herself with that, but it was a lot more about going out and interacting with nature. It's quite an interesting chat that we have, and that's coming up on the podcast. That'll be out tomorrow night, as always. And then we've got the usual diary section, which I've kind of already told you what I've been up to, but that goes into a bit more detail. Right, there we go. So Graham is saying, great show. Thanks for the tips. Absolutely. There we go. And could you arrange a comparison, your tomatoes in your greenhouse and someone local to you with tomatoes in their polytunnel? That's a great idea. Absolutely great idea. Or what I'm going to say, I think there's somebody out there who might be watching who has a greenhouse and a polytunnel who might be able to do it themselves and send the photos or send a video to me, and we can use that to create the comparison. Just throwing it out there. If not, I will find somebody and we'll try and do that. I'm sure. In fact, my neighbour, a bit difficult because they're vulnerable, so I can't really go walking into their polytunnel. But I'll figure something out. Margaret here, Rich. You might get some vocal zone lozenges. We use them at quiet. You pop one under your tongue and you can talk at the same time. Yeah, I might have to get some of those. I did warm up. I did warm up my voice. That's probably half the trouble. I'd hope richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. That's my email address, richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. I don't know if it's quite echoey in here. I've got to change this microphone and change things around to stop the echo. Right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a night now. Throat's getting sore and I'm nearly out of coffee. So it's been great chatting to you as always. Really enjoyed these shows over the last few weeks where we're really getting into it, really getting the conversation going. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever it is that you do on your particular platform that you are watching on. We'll be back again next Sunday at 6, where I've no idea what I'm going to talk about yet. I'll figure something out during the week. And if anybody has any suggestions, again, get in touch. While I remember, end of May, I'm going to Gardener's World live on the Sunday, and that finishes at 6. So I'm working out, I've got to find out if I can do this, if I should do a live from the car park. If that's anybody thinks that's a good idea, or I could do it at 8 o'clock at night, a bit later on when I get home. But I'm thinking the car park might be a better way to keep the same time up. Any thoughts on that? Let us know. Right, that's it. Cheers, guys. And it's been great chatting as always. We'll be back again next Sunday at 6, where we'll do it all again. Thanks, everyone. You take care, and we'll speak again soon.